Hi, I'm Stuart Rogers, co-founder of Badass Empire with Victoria Loskatova, and this is Badass School. Now, last time on Badass School, I talked about how to optimize your work, how to work faster, how to do that in a healthy way that is going to help to maintain your mental health. Now, within that, I talked about the difference between important and urgent. And so today, I want to dig much deeper into that. So we talked about important versus urgent. Remember, the most important thing, to use the word important a lot, is to focus on the important. Now, what is important to you? That's the first thing to do. You hopefully made some notes last time and you wrote down some of the things that are important to you, whether that is making money for your business, whether that is prospecting, finding potential new customers, whether it's spending time with your family or your friends online and chatting with everyone. Of course, we're doing that online right now because at the time of recording, we're all still in lockdown. But whatever it is, figure out what is important to you. Now, when we look at the different things from the point of view of important versus urgent, we can actually draw a cross and we can make four little boxes. Now, in the top left box, we have important and urgent tasks. Now, important and urgent tasks are things like a crisis, for example. That is important and urgent. A particularly pressing problem is important and urgent. Something with a deadline that is going to add to your bottom line or get your project or your product or service or app out the door, that's important. Those things are important and urgent. In the top right corner, we've got important but not urgent. Important but not urgent things are things like preparation, things like planning, things like discovering new opportunities, things like relationship building, for example. Then in the bottom left, we have not important but urgent. That's things like social media messages, telephone calls, interruptions in your day. Some meetings fall into that category. In fact, probably more meetings than I think we all would like to admit. Of course, some meetings are important but not urgent, but many are not important and urgent. And then you have the bottom right corner, which is not important, not urgent. And to be fair, you shouldn't have anything on your list that fits into that space. So what I do, if you remember, is I list out the day before the things I need to get done. I put them in those four categories, and then I reorder that list based on the amount of time that it's going to take to complete that task. And I use t-shirt sizes, so an extra large t-shirt is maybe an hour for me. An extra small t-shirt is maybe 10 minutes, so I've got a nice scale. And then I reorder my list in terms of important and urgent extra large through to important and urgent extra small. And then I do important and not urgent extra large through to extra small and so on and so forth. So that's really the crux of the system. Now, an important part of getting to use this system is to evaluate what you're doing right now. If you want to improve your productivity, you kind of need to understand where you are right now. Now, if you think of things in terms of that four-box system, draw that down on a piece of paper and have a think about how much of the percentage of your time you're spending at each of the four boxes. There's some tools that you can use to actually help you do this. So, for example, if you want to go down the technology route, there is an app and website called Rescue Time. Now, Rescue Time is one of the few time trackers that is available on multiple platforms. So you could download an app to your Android or your iOS phone. You could download the Chrome extension. What Rescue Time does is it monitors what websites you're using, what apps you're using, programs you're using, etc., etc. And then without judgment at all, it will show you a nice report, and that report will show you where you're spending your time. Now, if you're spending hours upon hours scrolling through social media, again, no judgment whatsoever, but you need to make a note of that, and it will break it up in terms of percentages, and then you can assign those percentages to the boxes. So, for example, if you're spending lots of time on social media because notifications keep going off and you're messaging people back or just checking out people's feeds, that would go into the not important, not urgent space. So rescue time will help you to work out what percentage of time you're spending in each of those boxes. Another way of doing it is to write down a time journal. Write down on a piece of paper or in a book or a memo pad or whatever, what time you're doing something, what the activity was, and then what quadrant it goes into. And in terms of the quadrants, you can call important and urgent number 1, important not urgent number 2, not important but urgent number 3, and then not important not urgent number 4. You can then add up at the end of the day or the end of the week how long you're spending on each of those boxes, and make that a percentage, put that percentage into the boxes. So that gives you then a sense of where you are. Now you can start working on optimizing that and getting into a space where you're actually making better use of your time. Now, the most effective people spend 80% of their time in the first 2 quadrants, important and urgent, and important not urgent. That gives you the ability to do all of the tasks that really are going to make a difference to you, either an immediate difference to your bottom line, maybe closing business, or to help you with the next piece of business coming through in terms of things like business development, planning, reaching out to people, relationship building, those kinds of things. So spending your time in those 2 quadrants, in those 2 places, is one of the most effective optimizations that you can give to yourself. So in terms of how do you do that optimization? Well, first of all, let's focus on the 4th quadrant, the not urgent, not important. You shouldn't be doing those things. So if you have written down how much time you're spending in that, and if you've used something like rescue time, or you've used the time journal to make a note of it, what are some of the changes that you can make that are going to immediately optimize that? Could you, for example, limit your social media use? Could you, only do it at certain times? I think especially now, it's important to still, use social media, because it's good for keeping in touch with what your friends are doing, and you can go on these little virtual vacations and travels, just seeing all the different spaces that your friends are quarantined in, and their views out of their windows and that kind of thing. But you really should limit it. What else could you do? Could you, put your phone on silent? Could you mute the notifications on your laptop? What are some of the things that you could do to stop notifications from triggering that urgency response, that reaction response, the reaction part of your brain? Rescue time is not just going to measure what you're using. You can then, with rescue time, say, okay, help me, and you can switch on the blocker, and it will stop you from visiting certain sites and certain apps during work moments. So if you have been basically taking my advice in terms of a little play, a little work, a little play, a little work, you can switch rescue time on for your work section, and then it will stop you from being able to launch or use any of those apps and websites, which keeps you from procrastinating. In fact, could you even just put your phone in another room for the moments when you're supposed to be focused on something? Peter Drucker once said, there is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. And it's very important that we understand that a lot of times we are just making what we call busy work, which is where you seem like you're working, but you're actually doing nothing important. Again, the most effective people will remove busy work from their lives. They will only do the work that is related to what is important for their business or for their life. They'll only do the tasks that are going to get to the things that are important for them, such as revenue or profit, such as seeing friends and family, spending time with them online or hopefully in person soon. Those things need to stop. You need to stop making busy work, because busy work is not going to help you. And if people are throwing things at you which are also not important and not urgent, you need to start using the ability to say no. If something comes your way and it's not important, not urgent, you have the ability to say no and say, no, this is not going to help with the bottom line. And it's okay to challenge, managers if you don't see the point of a particular task and get clarification. And do it that way. Very much do it with the sense of, can we just get some clarification on this? Because I'm missing the point of this task in terms of it leading to our bottom line or helping us with our project. Maybe I'm missing something. And then let them tell you. And then you can make an assessment as to whether it's important or urgent. And then, once you've got rid of all of these things that are not adding to your bottom line because they're not important and urgent, or they're not important and not urgent, then you can, really optimize your entire day. In terms of the third quadrant, the things that are urgent but not important, batch some of those things together and set a time aside for it. Urgent but not important for me is things like my email, for example. So what I'll do is I'll actually create a little block of time to check my email, and I'll do that a couple of times a day. It's not the sort of thing I'm going to check every single time an email notification pops up. Also, think about using some technology to remove the noise from your inbox if you're an email user. SaneBox, S-A-N-E box. SaneBox is a great little tool that will clean up your inbox, and it will move all the stuff that's not important into a separate little folder called Sane Later. And then you can just put a time aside to spend 10 minutes scanning through the Sane Later box towards the end of the day, just to see if there is anything in there of interest. Most of the time it's just newsletters and subscriptions. And Unroll Me, UNROLL.me, Unroll Me, is a tool that will automatically unsubscribe you from things that you subscribed to ages ago and are just annoying you and you don't really need them in your life anymore. It's a really great tool for automatically unsubscribing you to certain things. And then, if you do get an opportunity within the third quadrant, because you've got people that you can count on, feel free to delegate and even outsource. There are lots of small tasks that you can outsource to people on Fiverr, Fiverr. There's people on Fiverr who can do things for you. There's friends that you can, ask to help with certain things. It's just the perfect quadrant for outsourcing and delegating or automating, so that you don't have to deal with those things. So when it comes to optimizing quadrant 1, the important and urgent stuff, really, these are the things you cannot get past. So, I do those straight away because those are the things that you can't possibly, ignore. It is possible to still delegate them. It is possible to still outsource them as long as you trust the person that you're outsourcing to do that job incredibly well. One of the most important things with tasks in quadrant 1 is you really have to communicate effectively with anyone that's involved in that. So be very mindful of all the stakeholders that are involved in that task and make sure you're communicating very effectively with them, because otherwise it's such an important and an urgent task, it could unravel very quickly, and you need to make sure if there's deadlines involved that people know at what stage you are throughout the course of doing that task. So there are all of my optimization tips for using the important versus urgent system of optimizing your task list and your day and your week, your month, your year. Please go ahead and use all of those, and would love to hear from you via Patreon, of course. So as a patron, you can send us messages and we welcome them. But we'd love to hear from you in terms of what this system has done for you once you've practiced it and used it for a few weeks. Would love to get your feedback on it. In the meantime, at the time of recording this, we're in the middle of a run of Badass Summit. Badass Summit is our virtual conference, 28 amazing speakers giving you huge amounts of wisdom in marketing, business and lifestyle. If you missed day 1, it's fine. Day 2 is currently running. You can go and sign up for it. If you're watching this too late and Badass Summit is already finished, it's okay. It runs every month. Just go to badasssummit.com and sign up. Depending on your level of support for us here on Patreon, and again, thank you so much, you may well have a discount voucher for the All Access Pass. And that All Access Pass gives you access to everything forever. You can watch it as many times as you like, whenever you like, plus in excess of $1,000 worth of speaker bonuses that only All Access Pass users get. So go over to badasssummit.com and check that out as well. And then keep coming back here on Patreon for all of our future content. We're going to just keep on dropping it every single time. And I can't wait to dig in deeper with you with a whole bunch of amazing topics. Thank you so much.